A Fox News segment recently exploded into a screaming match after Geraldo Rivera had disagreed with one of the other people, that's Leo Terrell, on the subject of racism in policing. Let's take a look.
You're asking Leo.
Thank you, Harris.
Go right ahead.
This subject is too important. I asked it right in front of you. Name me the town, name me the city. Then he goes and ignores the subject and wants to play the sympathy card.
Leo,
I'll ask you again because this is too important. No, don't do that, Geraldo. Don't do that because there's too many people on the left and yourself lying about systemic racism. Harris asked about systemic
Leo,
racism.
don't accuse me of lying just because I disagree with you, buddy.
Right, we can disagree without stepping over each other.
Name the
Leo,
police
go ahead and
department.
finish.
Oh, thank you, Harris. And all the viewers, ask Geraldo to name the police department and the city so we can get this systemic racism out. Because I'm sure there's a federal judge who's going to eliminate it. Name me the city and the town, Geraldo. You can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it because it's not just one city. He'd have to say all of them because it's not just understand that systemic racism is not localized in the cities. It is localized in the justice system in general. Okay? Police in general, individual officers don't have to be personally racist to uphold systemic racism. And I know you could make the semantic argument that, well, since they're upholding a racist system, that of course obviously makes them 100% racist. Oh, okay, you can have that argument. I'm not interested in getting into that argument because I'm not really focusing on the individual police officers, right? Or even the precincts in general. What I'm looking at is the system. It's systemic racism. It's about our laws. It's about how the justice system treats one person versus another person on the basis of both class and race, because those two things are absolutely intertwined. And not only that, but you also have the issue of personal connections. If you have a personal connection, almost guaranteed that you're not going to be treated the same way as somebody who committed a crime and do not have a personal connection, whether it be the son of a judge or the son of a lawyer, or well, not son of a lawyer, but a son of a cop. Okay, and how the law itself punishes black people harsher for the same or similar crimes than a white person. There's a lot of documentation and studies that show that this happens. And you don't even have to go that far. You can look at some of the more recent cases. For example, how a judge might feel sympathy for a white defendant and decide to give him a lesser sentence than they would a black person. The case of Brock Turner, of course, comes to mind. Brock Turner had according to the judge, had the rest of his life ahead of him. Oh boy, didn't want to ruin that boy's future prospects because his life would have been so good, even though he committed a rape of a woman behind a dumpster. And yet, at the same time, there are judges that will look at a black kid with drugs in their pocket and think, no, irredeemable. Go to prison for the maximum amount of time. That is systemic racism. Leo Terrell, the guy in the video here, deeply disingenuous. Okay, and what he is doing is basically defending white supremacy. Sorry. By saying that no, because you can't name one precinct, that means systemic racism doesn't really exist. Okay, and Geraldo, interestingly enough, Geraldo now obviously he's got the lib position. So I'm not a lib. I'm to the left of him. Okay, but he's saying things that sound generally reasonable. Oh, we need some reform. We're going to need some tweaks here. And so in this next clip, I'm gonna show you his solutions for this, as well as first Harris Faulkner taking Leo Terrell's side, and then again Geraldo explaining exactly what he would do to fix it.
Are you saying that there's systemic racism to the point where you can paint with one brush all of those cops? Because I've lived in some of those places, and they're beautiful. I've lived in Minneapolis. That was my last market before I came here.
Those cities. I don't know why you were getting off on this issue. Okay, you're asking me how to make it better. Let's be constructive.
Harris, he won't answer your question.
Here's what I would like us to do. I would like
He's
us
not
to
going to answer your question,
Let's
Harris.
let Geraldo answer.
I would like us to abolish most no-knock warrants. I think they are really very dangerous. I think we should abolish most chokeholds. I think we should have a major campaign to recruit Black and Latino youngsters to be police officers. We should get a police department that reasonably reflects the community it serves.
Wow.
These are not unreasonable suggestions.
I don't know.
This is the way to make it better rather than yelling at each other.
And I hear you saying that, and I don't know that. And look, people can yell, they can argue, they can agree to disagree. But are you listening to the police officers and the leadership?
Oh, what about the police? Why don't you listen to the police and what they want? Well, they're kind of the problem here. Again, Harris Faulkner, you're driving me crazy. What does the city being beautiful have anything to do with systemic racism? Oh, it's beautiful in Minneapolis. Okay. Oh, okay. So let me kind of address that, I guess. If you live in the nice, read white neighborhoods, there's actually not a ton of police there. You know why? Most of the police are in the poor neighborhoods. If you're a well-known and you're wealthy and you're a bootlicker like Harris Faulkner or Leo Terrell in this case, well, there's a good chance the cops are going to leave you alone. Oh, well, you're wealthy. And so, yeah, you might get a little bit of harassment because you're still Black and you never escape that. But for the most part, if they know who you are and you're defending if you're always on Fox News defending the cops, oh, well, then they're going to be a little bit nicer to you, okay? But again, systemic racism in policing doesn't happen as much in the wealthier parts of town because all the police are in the poor areas of town, okay? They over-police the poor and minorities. Now, as far as Geraldo goes, he is taking the typical lib position. Now, I don't agree with that. He thinks that you could tweak the system by banning some chokeholds and all that, stuff and hiring more Black and Latino cops and all that stuff. And I don't think that's going to be far enough to actually fix the problem. Again, the issue here is the system. Okay, the issue here is the system. It's the foundation the police have been based on, which is the fact that they are formerly slave patrols. Their job was to protect property for the owners of that property, which again used to be only wealthy white men. So really, it's about upholding that system that was in place. Now, police have also always been a tool of wealthy white property owners, businessmen. Really, look at the labor strikes, for example, in the 1800s, 1900s. The police have always taken the stand against white. I'm sorry, not against white people, but working class people, which also happen to be white. And one of their biggest fears was the white working class and the Black working class getting together and fighting for races, for labor rights, and fighting against racism against the working class. And so, that is the history of policing in this country. You can't get around it. And over the decades, over the years, we have actually added more and more responsibility onto police while teaching them basically how to kill people, and really stressing my life is more important than the people that I'm supposed to serve. My life is the most important thing. And also, if you do not comply, if you don't listen to anything and everything that I say, then that's resisting arrest. We cannot have that at all. And so you have a situation where Black people are getting shot at wellness checks, or 73-year-old grandmas with dementia are getting their shoulders broken, okay, or dislocated. And I don't think at all we should be surprised about this. This is what they're trained to do. Go after the enemy, which has always been the poor and the working class. That's why policing can't be reformed. This is why it has to change at a fundamental level. But nobody wants to have this conversation because, honestly, it's incredibly difficult to have this conversation. In even the tiny milquetoast reforms by Geraldo, if you've noticed, were scoffed at by Harris Faulkner. She's like, oh, what about the police? What about what they want? They're the problem. And again, she might be thinking, oh, here comes crazy Geraldo again with his lib ideas, with his super tiny milquetoast, barely whatever ideas. Yeah. Just evidence, more evidence that even the most moderate, voices, even on Fox News, will get ignored. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.